We stay now with Thomas Friedman, the New York Times columnist, three-time Pulitzer Prize winner and author of the new bestseller, Hot, Flat, and Crowded, Why We Need a Green Revolution and How It Can Renew America. Specifically, Tom, what is a green revolution?
Well, the basic argument here, Larry, is the world is getting hot, global warming, flat, the rise of middle classes all over the world, from India to China, from Russia to Brazil, and crowded, overpopulation. The world's gone from about 2.8 billion people when I was born in 1953 to 9.2 billion by 2053. So in that kind of world, Larry, whoever is the leading country in producing clean power, clean energy, clean water, all these clean technologies, I believe is going to have a huge competitive, sustainable advantage. I call it the ability to outgreen your competition. And I believe that country has to be the United States of America. We need to give birth to this new industry. We need to own this new industry. I call it ET, energy technology. As Jeff Immelt, from the head of GE, likes to say, Larry, if you want to be big, you got to be big in big things. The biggest thing coming down the road is ET. And I believe in the next administration, in the next 8 to 12 years, we need to make sure we lay the foundation for that industry. That's what the book is about.
Who's ahead now?
Who's ahead now? Well, different countries have different slices of it. You know, 1 out of every 3 wind turbines in the world are made and sold from Denmark. Japan is great in energy efficiency. Europe has a lot of effective energy efficiency products going. We're the laggards. We are not in the leadership position we need to be. And Larry, the chance of our kids enjoying the standard of living we had, if we don't own this next great global industry, ET, the way we owned IT, information technology, I would say it's about 0.
How did we get in this fix?
How do we get in this fix? Well, because year after year, we never put in place, Larry, the price signals we needed. A gasoline tax, a carbon tax that would have stimulated the innovation around this industry. And that's where the problems of the auto industry that we were just talking about meet the whole question of the energy technology industry. What all the countries that are leading this industry, Larry, today have in common, whether it's Japan or Denmark, is that they put in the price signals. They've given a long-term, fixed, durable price signal. I was just in Houston today. I saw gas at $1.77 a gallon. That's going to kill the wind, solar, and cellulosic ethanol industry unless the next administration is ready to put a price signal in.
Let's say all your ideas are put in place. What are we going to look like?
What would we look like? What would we look like in 20 years? We'd have something I call in the book, Larry, the energy internet. It's when IT meets ET. We'd have a lot of clean generation of electrons going into a smart grid, going into a smart home where all your appliances would basically day trade automatically for electrons for you, fed into a smart car that would be charged at night with electricity and drive 100 miles on electricity and never have to fill up with gasoline. That's what it would look like. I know it sounds like science fiction. Don't fetch it too far, though. All these technologies exist today, Larry. They just don't exist at the speed, scope, and scale we need.
Will red China become green? You give a lot of attention to China in your book, because they're the largest. Will red China become green China?
I think that the Chinese are going to have to move down this road, Larry. They're waiting for us. They're really watching us, kind of hiding behind us now. And when they see us move, I believe you'll see them move. I use the image in the book. To me, China today is like that movie Speed, where the terrorists take over a bus, and if it goes under 50 miles an hour, it blows up. Well, China's kind of like that bus, Larry. If their economy grows under 8%, it could blow up. And their big challenge is they've got to change their engine from a dirty coal-burning engine in that bus to a clean electric hybrid while the bus is going 50 miles an hour. It's the greatest show on earth. It's going to be a huge challenge. They're following us, and I think when we lead, they will follow.
Supposing we become more hot, flat, and crowded, what's the end result?
Well, it's not a world you'd particularly want to live in, Larry. You know, small changes in global average temperature can have a huge effect. I call that chapter in my book global weirding. It's a term coined by Hunter Lovins from the Rocky Mountain Institute. We're not going to have global warming. Global warming sounds so nice. You know, to a kid from Minnesota, Larry, global warming, that sounds like golf in February. That's not what we're going to have. The hots are going to get hotter. The dries are going to get longer. The wets are going to get wetter. The snows are going to get thicker. The most violent hurricanes could become more numerous. That's what it will look like.
We'll take a break and back with more of Thomas Friedman of the New York Times, the book Hot, Flat, and Crowded. Book Hot, Flat, and Crowded. The guest is Thomas Friedman. A kind of a two-part question. How did the Bush administration do in this area, and what do you expect of the Obama?
Well, I think we wasted 8 years, Larry. We had a president who could barely get the word conservation out of his mouth. He basically was uninterested in a gasoline tax. He was uninterested in putting in place, I believe, the real regulations, standards, and price signals that could have launched a green revolution. He should have put a Patriot tax in place right after 9/11. Gas was $1.69 that morning a gallon. And had he done that, I think we'd have been in a different place today. And by the way, the auto companies would have been in a different place today. I have high expectations for the Obama administration. President-elect Obama has talked about this issue a lot. But the key thing will be whether he is ready to put in place a price signal. Because you're just not going to get a clean revolution if clean fuels are so expensive and dirty ones continue to be so cheap. You got to find a way to work that problem, make the dirty fuels more expensive, and then give people a break on their payroll taxes, make it revenue neutral, but get people focused on what working and cut taxes on working and get them focused on using fewer dirty fuels and raise taxes on those.
If you can get people like T-Bone Pickens coming your way, is it possible that you can turn this country around?
Well, you know, Boone Pickens is a friend of mine, and I think, you know, Boone is really typical of, I think, the new coalition around this issue. It's people, Larry, who understand that green is not liberal, tree-hugging, sissy, girly man, unpatriotic, vaguely European. No, green is geopolitical, geostrategic, geoeconomic, patriotic, capitalistic. Green is the new red, white, and blue. And there are plenty of conservative patriots like Boone Pickens who understand that, who don't think it's smart to be sending $700 billion a year, brought every year, to people who've drawn a bullseye on our back. God bless them.
Can you remember, Tom, how you got interested in this topic?
I really got interested in, actually I got hired by the New York Times as an energy reporter back in 1981, in fact. But, you know, the big shift for me, Larry, was really post 9/11. And it was really the seeing what happened with our energy purchases, seeing how our energy purchases have been empowering petro-dictators all over the world. It's poisoning geopolitics. It's really reversed the whole fall of the Berlin Wall democratic trend that was initiated in 1989. And then it really converged a few years later with the whole climate issue. And the combination of the rise of the climate issue, the geopolitics of this, and finally the need, Larry, to give birth to a new industry that our kids will be able to basically enjoy a higher standard of living off. We have got to give birth to that new industry. We can't just bail out the economy. We've got to build it up. And the way you do that is by giving birth to a new industry that in a world that's hot, flat, and crowded, everybody's going to need green tech, clean power.
Frankly, are you optimistic?
I'm cautiously optimistic. You know, I've been to, danced at a lot of weddings with people who told me they're really serious about this issue. I've heard what President-elect Obama has said. I think he's enthusiastic about it. I know the people that have been working for him on this issue. I think they're serious, credible people, but I'm from Minnesota, and we're like the people in Missouri. Show me.
What's your next book?
My next book is Hot, Flat, Crowded, and Busted.
Are you already working on it?
No, not yet, Larry, but I'm afraid, you know, I think that the whole economic situation we're in right now is really going to dominate the next 4 years. And that's really what I'm thinking about right now. I think that, you know, we've been talking about the next Secretary of State. Will it be Mrs. Clinton? Will it be somebody else? But I can tell you this, Larry. The next 4 years are going to be a lot more about General Motors than General Petraeus. And they're going to be a lot more about managing weakness in the world than managing strength. And the next Secretary of State is going to have to be up to that challenge.
We only have 30 seconds. Every time I read you, you're somewhere else. How do you decide where you go?
You know, I just kind of follow my nose and, you know, just get an instinct and intuition where I think the news is. And right now, Larry, you know what? I'm right here. Because I think the story of America is absolutely the most amazing, compelling, and obviously the most important story in the world right now. I don't want to be anywhere else.
You're the best. Thanks, Thomas.
Pal.
Hope we do many more. Thomas Friedman, New York Times, 3 times Pulitzer Prize winner. The new book, a major bestseller already, Hot, Flat, and Crowded, Why We Need a Green Revolution and How It Can Renew America.